The first part of this project, before I do anything, is I need to replace this steering shaft. This has been causing me some problems now for probably well over a year. I beat it with a hammer. Let's get a light in there. I beat this thing with a hammer not long ago to loosen up the, there's some universal joints. Oh, there you go. Those universal joints wear out. There's no way to lubricate them. And they just, over time, they just go bad. Now, I'm not going to do this part of the project from up here. Actually, it looks like I might have to. So, that's that. I got to check to make sure the one that I bought is the right one. And hopefully this will come apart without too much aggravation. That bolt right there doesn't look too healthy. Well, there's my first fuck you on this job. This is the bolt that holds in the steering shaft here, and it immediately rounded off. Shockingly, I got the other bolt out, but that one's rounded off. I'm gonna have to cut the head off with a cut-off saw and or a grinder, see what I can fit in there. And then when he cut, this is a split shaft, and I'll have to get a new bolt for it. I'm probably gonna get 2 new bolts anyway, because the bolts that I have are kind of rusty and shitty. This whole shaft is bad. These joints are bad. That's why I got to change it. It makes the steering real stiff. I also noticed I've got a considerable amount of kind of weepy leaks. That's my valve covers are starting to leak, and you can't see it. The pan's leaking now too. All right, so quick update. I ground the head off the bolt. You can see it pretty clearly. It's totally gone now. Now what I have to do is rotate the shaft, and then I'm going to split it with a cold chisel, or actually I'll probably just use my air chisel to split the shaft. After I split the shaft and get this end lined up, which you can't really see, get this end lined up so I can split the shaft, I'm going to tie the steering wheel off. I've had problems in the past doing these. What happens is when you break this loose, the steering wheel goes nuts, and what it'll do is it'll break the clock spring for the airbag, and then you're out a couple $100 for a clock spring. So I just did a double wrap there on the steering wheel, and then I closed it in the door. That'll keep it from going nuts, and that's all you need to do. It doesn't need to be crazy tight, you know, but that'll keep it from doing a full too many rotations. Well, this bears a lot of note. This is the replacement shaft, and this is this bends real easy, both directions. A universal joint, both ends. It's like smooth as butter. The one I took out. Two things to note. One is I ended up having to actually cut the yoke to get this apart. I spared that just because I couldn't get the camera in there. I tried it. So I had to cut the yoke to get it to come apart, which made it actually really simple to do it that way. But the biggest and most important part of this is this U-joint has needle bearings in it like a regular U-joint, and yeah, they're gone. They're completely disintegrated. It's all goopy and rusty and shit in there. The same with this side. And this end, which goes into the steering box itself, it goes this way okay, but this way is totally, really, just, it's junk. I knew it was junk. Over the summer I was having trouble with it, so I hit it with a chisel and sprayed it with some PB Blaster to get it loosened up. It was so stiff at one point I couldn't turn it. But this was an accident waiting to happen. So now we got to get the new one in. I'm going to try to clean the shafts up a little where they go in, and put some never sees on it, because I'm probably going to have to replace this again. My other concern is this one's a little bit different. This one's a little bit different. Mainly this piece here is built a little differently. It's an aftermarket part, so it doesn't shock me. But otherwise, overall length and everything seems the same. And this shaft, the aftermarket shaft, looks a little bit beefier. At first I didn't think it was as beefy, but actually I think it is. So I'm going to put that back in, and then we can start on the rest of this crazy project. Okay, so I'm back from my first of probably many trips to Home Depot. Shockingly, the local Home Depot has a pretty decent selection of metric hardware. This is not an automotive fastener. I don't think it's going to cause a lot of problems. Occasionally, the thread pitch will be different. That's usually on body bolts, though, not suspension bolts. They just always have weird heads. I think they do that to streamline and cut weight. So the replacement bolt is a 17 millimeter head. The one I took out was a 13 millimeter head. No big deal, because although I may have to revisit this, it's, it is what it is. I don't need 2 sockets to take the truck apart if I have to get a 17, which I happen to have. I'm good to go. I'm going to clean the shafts up where these go in, and I'm pretty sure these are keyed. The shaft is keyed. I can't tell because it's so rusty in there, but these screw right in. These screw right in. They'll tighten right up. I'm going to put a blob of grease on the end of each one of the shafts, and I'm going to put a drop of red Loctite on the threads, just because I would have preferred hardened bolts. These are 8/8. They say they're hardened. I don't really think they're hardened, so they have a tendency to stretch under pressure. So we'll go from there.